the most coveted title in the world for the athletes who race dirt bikes for a living is this one.
The sacrifice, the preparation, the commitment. This is when you got to go out there and finally put a stamp on it.
You've got to imagine that pressure is a part of this picture.
Will you risk everything? Will you leave it all on the track?
It's time to bring the action. There we go, there we go, there we go.
Oh, look at that emotion.
Tries to get inside, to the line. It's Webb. Cooper Webb.
Gate down and see what turns out right here. What a move. His speed is taking him up toward the podium positions here. Around the outside.
With a finish.
You've got the most competitive riders in the world, and they want a big win. And it is on.
It is all about the championship.
The dedication of this team that will do absolutely anything to win.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. This is the Los Angeles Coliseum that we are at today to announce the SuperMotocross World Championship. I'm Daniel Blair. This is Jason Wygant. I want to thank all the fans who are tuning in right now from all over the country and all over the world for this press event. To all of our friends here in the media, in the industry, team personnel, riders, former and past champions, thanks for being here. It's good to see you all in October on a very special day with a lot of announcements coming, Jason.
This is a really big day. It's not just coming from Daniel and myself here, Jason. Real industry insider, heavy in this sport, said this might be the biggest news in the history of the sport in America. It's worked this simple. There have been two series operating on parallel tracks, similar rules, athletes, teams, motorcycles, but never truly working together as one sport. That's Supercross and Motocross. And now for the first time, the principals of those series have decided to work as one to create the SuperMotocross World Championship, but also to keep their existing championships intact as the fans have come to know and love over the last 50 years.
Yeah, over the last week, I've had a lot of friends hit me up and ask, what is Tuesday about? Tuesday at noon, what's going on? Well, today is a special day. We will be revealing the 2023 Supercross Championship schedule. We'll be revealing the 2023 Pro Motocross Championship schedule. We'll also be detailing the schedule, the format, the purse, the points, all the ups and downs of this Pro Motocross World Champion, Super Motocross Pro Champ. It's off season, folks. I'm sorry. I'll be good by January. Super Motocross World Championship. And Jason, luckily for you and I, we don't have to do it alone.
No. First of all, we're in a beautiful facility to do this. It is completely symbolic that the World Championship will be crowned right here 53 weeks from now at the Los Angeles Coliseum. And the symbolism of that is this is the birthplace of what we came to know as Supercross. It was an event called the Super Bowl of motocross at the time. It was the idea of taking Supercross from a rural environment and moving it into a football or baseball stadium downtown. This was proof of concept 50 years ago. It was July 8th, 1972. That first Supercross race took place and launched the sport to another level. So that is why we're going to have another coming together of Supercross and Motocross here to crown the world champion next October. And to get an idea of where this vision came from and how long it has taken to finally get to this place, we're going to welcome our guest to the stage. It's the CEO of MX Sports Pro Racing and the Pro Motocross Championship, Kerry Coombs-Russell. And the CEO and chair of Feld Motorsports and Monster Energy AMA Supercross, Kenneth Feld.
Well, Kenneth, I'll start with you. Special day today, a lot to announce, but there was a genesis to all this. Can you take us through the story on where this began and how we got here today?
Sure. First of all, thank you all for coming and taking the time, and I know it's a little hot out there, so as I always say, if you're not funny, you better be fast. And we started really over 2.5 years ago, and COVID had hit, and we got notified after we completed the first half of the Supercross season that literally everything in the country, everything around the world was shut down. So we were determined to figure out how could we complete the season. And what happened was from March until June, we couldn't operate. We were just trying to figure out our way. And Carrie and I and our teams were getting together. How can we preserve our season, and then how can they make sure that they can have a full season of pro motocross? And we figured it out. And we had the last 7 races in Salt Lake City with no audience, live audience in the seats, but we had all the riders, we had all the teams there, and we were able to complete the 7 final races. And by doing that, we became the first pro sports league to complete their full season. Then Carrie started almost immediately after that, and she got through her whole season. And through that, we had constant talks, and we were working with each other to figure out how can we do this, all the testing protocols, everything else that you all went through. And out of it came, you know what? We really like each other. And it was great working with them. So what could we do to grow the sport? And out of that came the idea and the concept for SMX, SuperMotocross, and the playoffs and everything else. And it's been over 2.5 years. And I really have to give a shout out to all the OEMs. We talked to everybody in this process to get feedback, to get input, and from riders, from our sponsors. We wanted to have everybody be a part of this because it's interesting. Carrie and I have a lot in common, and basically we're both second generation in businesses that are over 50 years old. And it's just our nature to have a very long-term view of what we're going to do. And we're working together, and we're going to have this year, and then we're going to continue on. And we hope this becomes not only so exciting, but becomes the legacy of what the sport is, where it's a lot more unified. And I'm going to turn it over to Carrie, and she'll give you all of that. Thank you.
So I was really encouraged once Kenneth got involved. Initially, Dave and I were talking, and the initial concept was to merge our media platforms. And then we got Kenneth involved, and he was so excited, and he gave us access to some resources and relationships that we just didn't have. And so we consulted with these experts, and they said, well, you know, your initial concept of merging your media packages, that's good. That's a good idea, but what you need and what the sport doesn't have is a playoff. You know, other premier professional leagues, they have their playoff season, they have their, you know, Super Bowl, whatever you want to call it. We don't have that. You know, Supercross starts, it ends. Motocross starts, it ends. And then we just sit there kind of dormant for 4-5 months. And so we looked at each other and went like, that makes total sense. So we went to our strategic partners, our OEMs, and we said, we have this idea, the playoffs. And then it got really exciting. Then it was, well, how many playoffs? Where are they going to be? What's the track going to look like? It's got to be a hybrid. It's got to be a version of Supercross and Motocross. How many riders are going to be there? And the purse, which turned out to be a really big deal. So, you know, it all evolved over the last 2 years, like Kenneth said. And so now we have the SuperMotocross World Championship. And we believe it is the ultimate off-road motorcycle series. So we're very happy.
Just talk about that investment. It's a $10 million purse. There will be a bump in the purse in the original races, the existing Monster Energy Supercross and Pro Motocross, but then $5.5 million on the line in the 3 playoff and world championship rounds. That's a massive investment.
That's right. And one of the things that we really wanted to make sure that we did was retain the history everything that goes with Supercross, everything that goes with Pro Motocross. So there will be, as there has been, a champion of the 17 races of Supercross. There will be a champion of the 11 races of Pro Motocross. And then it will merge and come to SuperMotocross, which will be the final. So there's a lot that can be won throughout and a lot at stake, because every race will have a lot more importance than it ever did before. And because from race 1 going into race 23, everyone counts towards the finals. And I think that's really important, so it keeps the engagement, and they're going to explain all the detail on that. But we're very excited with it, and we hope you are as well.
Yeah, and obviously it's easy to have a headline of the big money at the World Championship final, but I know it's very important to both of you, the amateur rider, the youth riders, integrating with some programs they're already working on and making sure that part of the industry is taken care of as well.
Yes, amateur racing is the backbone of the sport. You know, we've been involved with amateur racing from the very beginning, 40 years now. But this is an opportunity to merge our two amateur programs, how we develop. Unlike other professional leagues, I think our sport is engaged more with the development of our future stars, our amateur racers. And we take it as a fiduciary responsibility. You know, we're stewards of a sport. These families and these young athletes, they spend every weekend with us racing. We owe it to them to give them a proper path into the professional ranks. And we feel that we've done that, and we'll continue to do that, but we'll do it together. So Supercross has the Supercross Futures. And the purpose of that program is to get the up-and-coming future stars a taste of what Supercross entails, that race day experience. We have the Moto Combines that we've developed over the last couple years. We bring in coaches like Chad Reed, Brock Glover, who's here. And I think if you look at the last lineup at Pala, our last 3 Moto Combine winners, DeFrancesco, Deegan, Hymas, they were all there, made the final 40. So that program is up and running. And then we have the AMA Amateur National Championship at Loretta Lynn's, which I'm sure most of you heard. We lost our beloved Loretta last night. She died peacefully in her sleep. And I think that anybody who dies in their sleep at 90 years old has won the race. And I think you guys can agree with me. So we lost Loretta's, but what a legacy she left in this sport. And so that's what SuperMotocross World Championship is also going to allow us to do. Supercross and motocross work together to develop that next team of amateur superstars and give these families and these kids a clear path to professional racing.
And part of this big announcement, again, is the package, the television package, where all the fans can watch all season long. And we're excited to announce that that is complete. And we're going to bring up Rick Cordella right now, the Chief Commercial Officer from Peacock.
We're super excited to extend the deal with Supercross and reunite with Motocross back on Peacock for a 5-year deal. All 31 races will be on Peacock, Race Day Live. We'll also have select races on NBC and USA Network. And so we're just super excited to extend this for 5 more years and be this with you.
Rick, when it comes to this sport, what is it about Supercross and motocross that is so intriguing to you at Peacock? And not only that, but streaming the future live sporting events, being part of that package. What was it about Supercross and motocross that was so unique to you?
I mean, it starts with the fans, first and foremost. The fan base of both motocross and supercross, they remind me of Premier League. They're hardcore fans. They follow their sport. They watch all of it. It's a weekly event that's going to happen for 10 months, so it's pretty sticky, going from January all the way to October. And so when we look at what properties we want to bring on at NBC Sports, this checked all the boxes.
You mentioned that term, stickiness. It's something I'm learning. Your research shows that compared to other sports where go in the kitchen, have a sandwich, get a drink, maybe come back, see part of it. This audience sticks with the entire race the entire time.
Yeah, it's more of a front edge of the seat kind of audience that we have for the stuff that you guys produce each and every week. And certainly when you're thinking about streaming and having that content that people are going to not just watch, but like set their appointment to and come and make sure that they're in front of it, it certainly rises to the top.
One of the things that I'd just like to say, we're also will have the SMX video pass in over 140 countries around the world. So we're truly global with it, and people from all over will be able to watch Supercross, and they'll watch all 31 events and other shoulder programming that we're going to have. But I think the great thing is for the sport, this is the best opportunity that we know how to grow, and not only to maintain the fans that we have, but to get new people excited by it. And you have, I think, the most exciting sport in the world, bar none. We have to let everybody know. Once we get them, they're never leaving. That's all up to you, and you do a great job on it, and we know that. So just wanted to add that.
And Rick, when you talk about streaming, that was a relatively new concept not that long ago, but it's become, pardon the term, mainstream pretty quickly. And this demographic seems to be looking for that type of option anyway.
For sure. I mean, we were always sort of blown away by the numbers that we saw, both in motocross and supercross on Peacock. And so it's pretty easy when you look at the data, and we're very much a data-led organization, to say, how does this work into the future? Does this work for us? And to the viewership point, we hope to expand the viewership. Motocross and supercross will be right next to Jurassic World and the Minions and The Office and Yellowstone, all the great entertainment content that we have on our platform. And it somewhat, works both ways. The hope is, the motocross and supercross fans that come in for the races stick around and watch that as well. And so it's an all sort of, all content platform.
Absolutely. And then, yes, that's domestic. And then for international fans, over 140 countries can get the SuperMotocross World Championship Video Pass, which will show all the Supercross, all the Motocross, all the SuperMotocross World Championship events streaming around the world, which is a big boost as well, keeping everything really under one banner to make it easier for fans to find. So this is phenomenal news for the sport. You can see the industry's excited about it. And hopefully they just put on some good races that people, because we know where to find it. I think that's probably the easy part. It should be exciting to watch. Yep. Well, we thank very much Carrie and Kenneth and Rick for your contributions to really try to take this sport to the next level. This is going to be big, everybody. So thank you for your involvement and your vision to help make this happen.
Thank you all very much. We appreciate you coming.
And now, an opportunity to take a look at the 2023 schedule for Supercross, Motocross, and SuperMotocross. And there it is, Jason. Anaheim 1 is back. You're going to see a lot of things that are familiar to you. Snapdragon, though, a new stadium for San Diego in 2023. But for the most part, a lot of the dates that we all know and love will be back on the schedule in 2023.
Yeah, that's really the key, to keep that integrity of the existing Supercross and Motocross championships. So the events that you've come to know and love will still have Anaheim 1. There will still be Daytona during Daytona Bike Week. Series for Motocross will still start in Southern California, Fox Raceway. July 4th will be Red Bud Weekend. And then we get into the exciting stuff, which is the 3 new events that will take place at the end of the year through September and October. And that's what we can give a little more information on today.
And some of the questions I've had this week are Triple Crowns back in Supercross? Yes, they are. Are the East-West Showdowns back? Yes, they are. The Supercross and Motocross series will still keep their tradition and their history separate, but will be part of this 31 event schedule with these dates right here closing out 2023. On the 9th of September and the 23rd of September, those races will still be announced in the coming weeks, but the finale will be October 14th right here in the LA Coliseum. The top 20 riders in combined points will automatically be seeded into the 3-round SMX playoffs. A rider can also automatically qualify for the end-of-season competition by winning a Supercross main event or a Motocross overall victory. They'll be placed along with the remaining in positions 21 to 30 and will have an opportunity to race their way into the 22-rider field at each playoff round. The SuperMotocross World Championship events will be a 2-moto format with a maximum of 26 points for round 1 and 52 points for round 2.
The World Championship finale, right here at the Los Angeles Coliseum, will raise the stakes with a maximum of 78 points available to the title hopefuls. The historic 2023 season will feature 31 championship events, and the remarkable athletes will compete for a record $10 million in prize money and the prestige of racing for the inaugural SMX World Championship.
And there is the track that will be the championship round in 2023. Big thanks to Joe Furin, the general manager for Los Angeles Coliseum, for allowing us to be here today, and of course for hosting the event next year. He'll be available in our post-event media scrum if you have questions of Joe. We're joined by some more great guests on stage. Dave Prater, the vice president of Supercross for Feld Motorsports, and 3 riders who have successfully won both the Supercross and Motocross titles in the same year. That's Ryan Villopoto, 4-time Monster Energy Supercross champ, twice winning Supercross and Motocross in the same year. Ricky Carmichael, a 15-time national champ, 5 times winning both Supercross and Motocross titles in the same year. And we call him 6-time because in 3 different years, Jeff Stanton won both Motocross and Supercross championships in the same season. So it'll be great to get the perspective of the legends. But Dave, I'll start with you, the track reveal and how you're trying to take the best of both disciplines and turn it into one.
Yeah, definitely. We're excited about this new concept and really a unique track that these guys aren't typically used to. They're typically used to either bike set up for a Supercross track or bike set up for a motocross track, and both the physicality that comes along with both. So the interesting thing about the venues that we've been looking at is obviously we're here at the LA Memorial Coliseum. It's got a history past, it's iconic, but the other thing that it has is it has an extremely large floor. And with the fact that we're making these 50% Supercross, 50% motocross, we're gonna need larger venues. So this floor in here is about 1.5 times a typical football field. And obviously we can race up through the peristyles, which everyone knows and loves from the history of this place. So super excited about that. The track's gonna be, like I said, and like you heard Kerry say, it's a hybrid. It truly is a blend of Supercross and motocross for these SuperMotocross World Championship playoffs and World Championship finals. So, and looking forward to in the next couple weeks to also doing the announcement for the playoff number 1 and playoff number 2. I think everyone will really be excited about those venues. Each venue is unique to itself. It's somewhere we've never raced Supercross or motocross before. So looking forward to that. And they're unique venues, like I said. They're unlike the others. So we're going to have a different style track for playoff number 1, different style track and venue for playoff number 2. And then obviously here with the final at LA Coliseum. So looking forward to that for sure.
So, Dave, there's a lot to unpack in that video. The first thing that I know a lot of the riders are going to want to know is how do we qualify in? What is the format to get into the SuperMotocross World Championship?
Yeah, so we're going to take the top 20 in combined Supercross and Motocross points, and those top 20 are automatically seeded into the playoffs. So that means you're automatically seeded into playoff 1, playoff 2, and the SuperMotocross World Championship final. Those top 20 in both classes, so we'll do the 450 class and the 250 class, they will be racing and they'll get the first 20 gate picks. So during time qualifying and practice, they're actually trying to qualify for gate pick of those first 20. After that, riders who finished in the combined points 21 through 30, or while it's rare, it could be that a rider wins a Supercross main event or a motocross overall, but they don't finish in that top 30. We're going to give those guys a chance as well. So at each playoff round and the World Championship final, they'll have the opportunity for a last chance qualifying race to race and get in and be able to race and pick the 21st and 22nd gate pick. So still an opportunity for guys who maybe aren't seeded automatically to get in and vie for the World Championship.
And we're really trying to find that clutch rider, much like what happened in the Super Bowl or World Series or whatever it would be. You've tiered the points where there's more points on the line with each round to potentially leave that championship up for grabs going into the final gate drop.
Yeah, definitely. That was the goal. So we had a few goals going into this, but one was make it as exciting as it can be for the fans. Number 2, give riders who may have not had a stellar Supercross or a stellar motocross season, give them an opportunity to rise to the occasion in the playoffs and ultimately win a world championship. And finally, we didn't want to make it easy on those front runners. So we don't want a guy who's leading the points going in to the world championship final round to take it easy. We don't want a guy who, I just have to finish 14th today and I still got the championship wrapped up. So by tailoring the points where you've got single typical Supercross points for round 1, and then double points for playoff number 2, and then finally for the SuperMotocross World Championship final, triple points. It really keeps the pressure on and gives those guys the opportunity in 8th, 9th, 10th place in the points going into that final round to win a world championship. So we're extremely excited and can't wait.
Talking about the prize money and how it's suited for the season, there's going to be a bump in Supercross and Motocross, but can you talk us through the SuperMotocross purse and what it's going to look like in 23?
Yeah, I think you guys hit on it a little bit earlier, but Supercross and Motocross purse will be increased by about $1.1 million. And then for the overall playoff number 1, playoff number 2, and the World Championship final, there's $5.5 million on the line. So for a 450 guy, it's $1 million to win the World Championship. For a 250 guy, it's $500,000 to win the World Championship. So there's real money there down deep in the field paying out the 20 positions.
Yeah, and that's for some applause right there. $1 million to win a championship, and someone is going to win it. We're used to the old Monster Energy Cup where you had to win all 3, sweep the night, or the million wasn't handed out. Someone's winning this $1 million regardless.
This million, the money's guaranteed. You don't have to do anything special other than win the World Championship, finish with more points than the next guy, and you're walking away with $1 million.
And you're still paying all the way back into 40th at the traditional rounds of Supercross, Motocross, and back to 30th in the 3 playoff rounds of World Championship.
Yes, nothing will change there. So paying all the way back to 40th in Supercross, paying all the way back to 40th in Motocross, and then obviously for those 21st through 30th guys that are vying for those final 2 gate picks, we're still going to pay for that last chance qualifier. So you're not coming to race for nothing.
Well, now that we understand it, we'd like to go a layer deeper with some of the legends of the sport and talk about the news of today. Jeff, Stanton, I'd like to start with you. We're in a special building right now, the Los Angeles Coliseum. A lot of us have memories of this place. You have maybe the best one ever, which is winning a championship here in 1992. This format now puts pressure on riders to have to be clutch and at their very best in that final moment to be a champion. You accomplished that here. So what does it mean for you to be here today knowing that this is going to happen in 2023? Someone will win their Super Motocross World Championship in the building that's so special to you.
Yeah, this place is super special. When I see that track, and brings back some memories from coming into this race with a heated battle with Mr. Bradshaw and being down in points and 20-lap main event, make it all happen. I knew I had to win, went out and won the championship. So I've talked to some of the folks here, their memories are still in their head. So an iconic place. When I walked in yesterday to know that the track's coming up the peristyle and have a moto feel to it, it's super cool. So I'm excited for what they're bringing to the sport. The streaming package, just the amount of money that's there for that 3-race series is phenomenal. I mean, every one of these racers here should be pumped that they put forth that extra effort to bond everybody together. MX Sports, Feld Motorsports, on an awesome day for the motocross community as a whole.
So I'll go to you, Ricky Carmichael. Everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. You guys all grew up racing motocross, and the motocross titles and wins were coming pretty quickly for you. But you had the commitment to excellence. You were not going to be satisfied as just a motocross guy. So talk about, as a racer, whatever's put in front of you, your goal is to turn weaknesses into strengths and win everything.
Well, that's what I love about the new partnership between Feld and MX Sports and the Super Motocross World Championship format is it really puts the riders in a position to have to perform both Supercross and Motocross. And why? Is because at the end of the day, the more points that they can accumulate, they're going to go those 2 playoff rounds sitting in a really good position. And at the end of the day, I think segregation between the 2 series wasn't a good thing. I think as a whole, we are all as one. So I like that. I like seeing the riders work a little bit harder in their shortfall areas and take advantage of the areas that they ride really well at. Some guys are good at better at Supercross than they are Motocross. For me, Supercross took a lot more effort and a lot more work than it did Motocross. Motocross came much more naturally to me. I grew up racing it since I was 5 years old. But in general, with the SMX World Championship, what I'm most happy about is the unity between Feld and MX Sports. There's one vision, one goal, and the playoff situation. I can't think of any sport or that has a playoff scenario that doesn't work. I think we all can sit here and agree that all playoffs are a lot of fun to watch. It's intriguing. To Jeff's point, The Peacock announcement is massive, and everyone is going to benefit from this down the road. Our partners, our OEMs, and the racers are going to, and most importantly, our fans are. That media package is going to do wonders for this sport, and hopefully get the riders and our partners the credit and the things that they deserve, the accolades that they deserve. So I'm excited for it, and of course, you know, me being a hardcore racer, I love these guys being in a position where they have to perform in both disciplines.
Ryan, for you, the Monster Million, you were the first to win it and sweep the night at the Monster Cup and get $1 million. So you know what pressure is like from multiple layers. But in that moment, you had to be at your very best in that final race. You could not win that million without coming out clutch and winning the finale. This format is now designed similar to that. So from your experience in that night, what's going to be like for our athletes to be here at the LA Coliseum with $1 million on the line, knowing that someone's walking away with this thing and all the pressure is mounting to that moment?
Well, I wish I was maybe out there, but not so much. But no, I think that being that Supercross and Motocross were able to come together and present something like this, it's very unique. It's what the sport needed, like Ricky said, and it's going to come down to clutch performances. Being that the points stack like they do, it's going to be it's going to keep everybody on their game. And what I really like about the situation, being that Supercross and Motocross was always so separate, but now if you have an injury in the middle of Supercross, it forces these guys to come back sooner than when they're ready, but sooner than maybe dragging it out a little bit longer. Or same with outdoors, they get hurt, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to push it off till Supercross next year, where they have another championship and they have a lot of money on the line. So it incentivizes them to come back out and race. So I think it's great for all parties.
Jeff, you were always known as one of the fittest riders of your era, maybe one of the fittest of all time. So just talk about the physicality of carrying this through both series and trying to stay sharp all year.
Yeah, you know, I thought about that the last couple of days, and as I sit here with these two guys, I'll guarantee you there's not a race where this guy wasn't on the starting line and he wasn't thinking about getting 5th place on the day. Am I right?
You're right.
No. So as all these racers sit out here, every weekend they're sitting on that line, and they know that mentally that they're ready and physically that they're ready. They have to go out and attack every race. They can't, if they're sitting on the starting line, no, I think I'm just going to settle for 5th place today, they might as well just go home. So for the three of us, we were all similar. We knew when we were on that starting line, we were mentally, physically prepared, and at all costs, we're going to win. And it's that person that does that for the whole series that's going to win that first $1 million.
And I think this is an opportunity, and we've talked about this, Ryan and Jeff, all of us have talked about it. It gives the guys an opportunity that can't hold it together for 17 rounds of Supercross or 12 rounds of Motocross. It gives those guys a golden opportunity to go out and win a world championship with only 3 races to manage, 2 playoff races in the world championship here in the LA Coliseum. So if you're one of those guys that has been a struggle for you, this is a golden opportunity to walk away with a lot of money. There's not a lot of races to manage. Yes, you have to put in a clutch performance, but I think there'll be some wild card riders out there that perhaps could get this championship.
Absolutely. We have guys that start off ablazing. I mean, we know who they are, and if they make it through and they're mid-pack in that top 20, 10th overall going in, they could throw down 3 races and take the prize and be the first SMX champion.
Yeah, and for Ryan, to excel in that, these are hybrid tracks. So you're going to have to, especially the first year, learn on the fly of what this track is going to be like for your motorcycle and maybe even your training leading in.
Yeah, for sure. I think having that's a hybrid, Supercross, Motocross combined, bike setups might be a little bit different, but these teams, they have everything, under control. They know what they're going to do. But I think just as for the riders, figuring out, how they're going to strategize for these, the last 3 rounds of 2 playoffs in a world championship round, how they're going to play this, how they're going to play their season leading up into that, and then how they're going to, get the gate drop those 3 rounds.
It's certainly going to be exciting. A lot of money on the line. Awesome to hear from 30 combined championships on this stage. Again, they'll be available for the media after our event. Dave Prater, good job trying to put this all together. We'll continue with the explanations. Website is going to be live right now if people want to learn more about exactly how this is going to work. There are a lot of ins and outs, but bottom line is this. The 2 series exist as they are. We'll combine the points of both of those to create seeding for the Super Motocross World Championship. Excellent job. Thanks for the analysis. Round of applause for our guests. Thank you.
And now a chance to hear from members of the industry that have been a part of this creation and process, and they gave us their thoughts coming in.
Championship and MX Sports and Feld, the Supercross series getting together is probably the biggest positive thing that has happened in our sport. To see the two groups working together, it's awesome for our sport, and it's gonna for sure make it another step better.
As a manufacturer, it's great to see two of our valued partners collaborate to come together with something really new for the sport. Considering that this has been in the works for more than 2 years, we're excited to now finally be able to share the significant news. The Supercross World Championship is going to add a lot of intrigue for everyone. Fans will have more opportunities to see their favorite riders in the most competitive racing. Plus, we'll now be able to see who the best overall rider is.
We are inspired to see this new partnership in the creation of the SuperMotocross World Championship. Suzuki is looking forward to racing in this new championship and competing at the highest level in Supercross, Motocross, and now the SuperMotocross World Championship.
As reigning champion of both Motocross and Supercross, we're extremely proud of those championships, of course, and seeing our riders compete at the highest level of competition in the world.
There's the checker flag for Eli Tomac.
The book of Eli is complete. He is the Monster Energy AMA Supercross champion.
Super Motocross World Championship is really a natural evolution of the sport, and we're looking forward to showcasing these elite athletes to the world.
Going into 2023, there is the combined series championship. I think it'll be exciting. I think it will be a step forward for our sport of Supercross and Motocross.
I'd like to welcome Cooper Webb, Malcolm Stewart, Christian Craig, Adam Cincerillo, and Jason Anderson to the stage to talk about today's news. Cooper, I want to start with you. The word clutch, high pressure, that's going to be something we're going to be hearing a lot more with this new format. And for you, you've lived that and experienced that. I think back to Las Vegas, your 250 Supercross championship, that you needed to win on the final night. You were battling an injury. You needed to be your best, and you were. I think about last season at Salt Lake City, going into the final round where you had the luxury to kind of coast your way into a title, but instead you brought your best, won the race, had another clutch performance. With this format that we're all learning about now, how do you feel that will affect you and the way that you go about your racing? Because you've been in these moments before, and that's when you've been at your best.
Yeah, like you said, we're all learning about it, but it seems super exciting, and having that finale mean a lot more than maybe coasting it on in or even like our Triple Crown format. So it's cool that last one will have so much emphasis on it, and like you said, hopefully we can have some great success, but it's really cool. I think it makes it more like the stick and ball sports, where it's the Super Bowl or the final, and you have to make it count in that last race.
Yeah, and the seeding for the riders is based on points accumulated over both series, so great timing for you. Malcolm Stewart, you didn't race outdoors for a long time. You did come back for some motocross this year, and I know the plan is to race them all next year, barring injury, which does happen. And you're really peaking. It was your best season ever in Supercross, so it seems like you're starting to get everything for yourself dialed at just the right time for this.
Yeah, no, I think this whole Super Motocross World Championship is definitely going to be really good for the whole industry, and fans that aren't familiar with motocross or Supercross, it just kind of tunes you in because I just think for all of us, it just kind of keeps you in track and keeps you in check because even like for instance, like this year, had an injury and that kind of put me on outdoors. But the way the point system still lined up, I still could be able to come back in and also win the World Super Motocross Championship. So yeah, I just think it's just got to be smooth and keeps you in touch. But yeah, I'm excited. It definitely helped me out, especially, of course, the outdoors. This is the format could be definitely a little bit different, but it'll be fun. I think I'm excited about it, and let's just keep going.
Christian, this is a lot to learn. There's strategies that will be figured out over the coming years, and part of that strategy is making sure that you're seated at the best that you can be coming in. Your current situation in the 2022 season is pretty unique, as you were a 250 Supercross rider, won the championship, but then finished 5th overall in the Pro Motocross Championship on a 450. That would have put you outside of the top 10 in seeding in either class, giving you a choice which one to do for this 3-round playoff. Obviously, your future is now solid on a 450, but I would imagine that's going to be a scenario in the future. What do you think about that decision that might have to be made for some riders where they might have to choose a 250 or 450 in the final 3 playoffs?
Yeah, my situation this year would have been a lot different, say this happened this year. So luckily, I'm on a fresh start, fresh team, as you see. I'll be 450 full-time, so I'm stoked with that. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting. A lot to kind of take in and learn. So I'm all for it. I'm all for growing the sport, helping it out. And I think it's going to be cool with just the points and how they change each race at the last 3. Keeps it interesting. It's fun.
And, yeah, to keep it interesting all the way to the end, Adam, okay, you're hitting all 31 races next year. I know you're doing it.
Absolutely.
It'll be solid, right?
Yes,
It'll be
sir.
solid. You did miss races this year, and traditionally for riders of the level that are on the stage that want to win the title, if you're hurt by round 1 or you miss round 1, your season is essentially over. There's really no incentive to come back and race. So you'll be good next year, but inevitably in all sports, someone is going to get hurt. So just talk about the scenario of, wait, I have something left at the back end of the calendar instead of if I miss round 1, my season's done.
Yeah, look, it's a dangerous sport. If you go through the years, there's not a lot of guys that consistently make it to the end of the series, unless your name's Eli Tomac or Ricky Carmichael. But, yeah, I think, just like you said, you get hurt halfway through Supercross. You got to try to get healthy, and you got to get ready for the start of outdoors because your season's kind of over. Now that we're with the SuperMotocross Championship, a lot of money on the line, you kind of have a chance to put yourself in a better spot. It motivates you to come back and do your best, and I think that's really exciting for everybody, and it's going to keep a lot of eyeballs on all the races, even kind of towards the end of the seasons.
Jason, for you, we get a chance to interview you a lot during the season because you're pretty successful. You always talk about how much you love riding your dirt bike. You're remotivated. You're at this new chapter. You feel fresh again. You had a great Supercross season, maybe your best. You had your best outdoor season. This is perfect timing for you as well, as you're in that stage of your career where you're happy racing your motorcycle. With this format now giving you a chance to win a lot of money, $1 million in 3 races, I mean, how cool a timing is it for you to be kind of peaking in both Supercross and Motocross with a chance now to add on 3 races in a format that I think you would do well in?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this whole thing. For me, obviously, I had a pretty good season this year. And, next year, hopefully I could, increase my results and maybe it be better and put me in a good spot for this this new Super Motocross Championship. And, and like you said, I really enjoy riding. I really enjoy racing. And, what else better do we have to do with our weekends off than race? So, it's going to be fun. It's a new challenge, and I think it's going to make it interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're kind of hoping that there's scenarios that no one has even considered, since we're only really announcing the format and the person, all those things today. Cooper Webb, I'm not sure. Let the helicopter go by. Cooper, I'm not sure if you even know exactly how many races you plan to do next year, if you're in or out for the Pro Motocross, for example. But now it's a scenario to think about, maybe just score a few points, at least get in shape coming into it. There's all sorts of new strategies that probably most of you had never even had to consider in a previous year.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it's not just Supercross or Motocross or whatever it is. You got to consider all the strategies and putting yourself in the best position. And with how they are too, even contractually, we might be switching teams or October 1st. You never know what can happen. 250, 450 guys coming in, so it's going to be exciting. I mean, Supercross is definitely the number 1 goal at the moment, but once you get throughout the year, you're going to want to put yourself in a good situation to keep progressing and get yourself in the best possible scenario for the hopefully win all of the above.
And Malcolm, the timing again for you is perfect. You're coming off a successful season of Supercross. You're back with the same team. That comfort level has grown. How great is the timing for you, again, to have this be added onto the schedule, this 3-round playoff, right when you, at the same time, are maybe at the best in your career?
Yeah, I think it's really good, and I think another thing too that to also throw this out there is a lot of rides back in a couple years ago. I got a ride from Geico Honda because of Monster Cup. So I think this is like, if you're a guy that had a decent Supercross and did okay in outdoors, and then you end up winning the World Supercross, you could get hired for a factory team. So that's another outlet, and I think all riders could be able to keep yourself motivated. So. But yeah, no, I think this is really, really good, like I said before, and let's just see how it plays out, because we got a little bit of time to think about it. You know, of course, we got to focus on what we got forward. You know, step foot forward in front of us. But yeah, when that time comes, we'll be ready.
And one other element to this, especially when we add the Peacock component and hoping to keep fans engaged all year long, is to try to grow the sport, which would mean new fans, new riders. And that's one of the cool stories, Cooper, for you and for Adam. Adam, I'll let you answer this one. That we're hoping that the next star is just a kid watching it on TV. Maybe their parents aren't even motorcycle people, but maybe they discover this and say, well, I want to do that. And then there's a clear pathway with Loretta Lynn's, the Moto Scouting Combine, and Supercross Futures to do it. Hopefully they discover that and they want to get to this level.
I mean, yeah, I think you see it all coming together right now with Supercross Futures, with the Combine, and now the Super Motocross series, and it's going to be some more unity as to the direction you go to as an amateur racer. The sport is kind of taking on a new shape, taking on a new life, and I think these are the type of steps that need to be taken to make this one of the most popular leagues in America. Once we get some more eyeballs on this sport, I mean, how can you not have a good time at a Supercross race or a motocross race? So just really excited about the steps everybody's taking with Feld MX Sports and excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, grateful to have you guys here today, too, to talk about this. Cooper Webb, Malcolm Stewart, Christian Craig, Adam Cincerello, and Jason Anderson. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Some final announcements from Jason and myself. First off is supermotocross.com. The website is live and active. That's also the tag for the socials. So that is available now for all the information moving forward.
Yeah, there's so many exciting things. That supermotocross.com website is where you'll learn the other 2 track reveals when we reveal those venues coming up for the other 2 of the 3 postseason rounds. And there'll be tickets on sale as well there. The traditional Supercross site, you could still get the current schedule, which we've just announced today at Pro Motocross. We'll have that posted also. And that's really the key. Keeping the integrity of the 2 championships as they have always been, and then adding this additional element at the end. So what we're preparing for now, since this is really celebrating a coming together of all the different elements, the motocross side, the supercross side, the athletes, teams, and certainly Peacock and the media side, we're going to have a toast here, and we'll get the crowd involved with this as well. So we'll get a chance to get this set up. But what's really intriguing about it is, at this point, the great unknown. We do not know exactly how this is going to turn out, and that's really part of the excitement because it's all new.
I think over the next few months, you'll hear strategies, you'll hear different concepts on how to be successful in this format. But I think the best point to reiterate is, like you said, the tradition and history of Supercross will stay the same. The tradition and history of motocross will stay the same. But this is a creation of something brand new, an addition to what we already do. And again, a very exciting day to be here and be able to announce that.
So we're going to prepare a toast here. There will be an open media session with everyone that's here on the stage. I don't know if you want to ask questions of Daniel and I, but certainly the VIPs who are here will be open to the media to answer questions here in an open media session. But first, we want to put a toast and celebrate the Super Motocross World Championship. Carrie?
Yes, we do. So 2022, we celebrated 50 years of motocross. Next year, we'll celebrate 50 years of Supercross. But today, we are here to celebrate the next 50 years of the Super Motocross World Championship, the ultimate off-road motorcycle race series. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone, for being here.
Cheers. And we couldn't do this without all of your support, and we are excited for what the future holds for the sport. Thank you. Cheers.
Good job, everyone. Good job, boys.
Thanks, RC. Looking sharp.